Good morning all. Today I will be discussing about critical analysis project that we are doing in Unit 252. So it is based on the objectives of this session here. First of all, what we will be doing is we will be learning the theories, which is behavioral, cognitive and socio-cultural. And after that, we will be looking at the various learning episodes that are demonstrating each of these particular theories. Now, moving on. First of all, we are going to now look at the different theories that we have. What actually do these theories actually mean? So, if you look at behavioral learning theory here, it focuses on external behavior and reinforcement with learners being passive responders. So, in this behavioral learning theory, what happens is that students are sometimes given rewards as a form of reinforcement, so that motivates them to change their behavior or to do some improvement in what is expected by the teachers. Moving on further, looking at cognitive learning theory, it emphasizes internal mental processes and sees learners as active thinkers. In this here, it mostly involves the students, teachers to use variety or different strategies that motivates or ensures that the students learn in different ways. So when different strategies are used for cognitive learning theory, it students do discovery learning there. So that actually motivates them to do more better. Moving further on, we have the last theory, and that is the socio-cultural learning theory. Social learning, cultural learning theory. Now this integrates both highlighting the importance of observation, imitation and social environment. In this, what happens is when the students come together, when they interact with each other, they learn more. This can be in terms of peer tutoring, peer learning, right? Students learn sometimes more better than their peers and sometimes compared to their teachers, right? So let us now look at the different learning episodes that we have, right, for each particular theory. Now our first example here that I had is the reward system in primary school. Now I remember my teacher implemented a reward system to encourage neat handwriting. So what we used to do there, what used to happen, each time a student submitted a well-presented exercise book, they received a sticker. After collecting 10 stickers, students would get a small prize. I initially struggled with handwriting, but the consistent positive reinforcement motivated me to improve. This episode reflects operant conditioning, a core idea in behavioral theory, where learning occurs through reinforcement and repetition. Now the outcome was successful because the external reward shaped my behavior effectively. I also remember a time when we were in year 8 that time, and my maths teacher had this condition, and he said while giving the short test that whoever gets 100 out of 100 will get a reward. And that time, we nearly about 10 students got full out of marks, 100 out of 100. And then he bought us a file that was a certificate file, right? So we kept that for a long time, and that was quite of a reinforcement for us, that encouraging us to do more better. Okay? Now moving on further, we will be looking at the next example. And that was learning algebra in high school. As we all know, that algebra is not that easy, but we can gain the students' attention, right? And this is what happened. I struggled to understand algebraic equations until my teacher introduced concept mapping and step-by-step problem solving strategies. Instead of memorizing procedures, we were encouraged to analyze the relationship between variables, break down equations, and explain our reasoning to the class. By linking new concepts to what I already understood about basic arithmetic, I developed a deeper comprehension of a deeper understanding of algebra, which made learning algebra more easy. Normally students find algebra very challenging. But when these approaches were used, it made our learning very easy. This episode reflects cognitive learning theory because it focused on internal mental processes, organizing information, making connections, and actively constructing a understanding. Now, it was a successful learning experience because it shifted my learning from rote memorization to meaningful comprehension, to meaningful learning, understanding how the steps are related, right? So that actually helped me to like maths even more better, right? Furthermore, we are looking at the next example, and this example is from cognitive learning theory. This learning episode depicts, socio-cultural learning theory, whereby here it's learning how to play basketball. Now, while learning to play basketball, I observed older and more skilled players during practice. This is one thing that is quite challenging for us girls when we go out and when we do not know a particular sport, right? We have a kind of phobia inside that when we will go out, we will be embarrassed, we do not know how to play. But when I watched how my friends dribble, pass, and position themselves on the court, right? By observing their techniques, mentally rehearsing them, and then initiating their movements during my own practice, I gradually improved. So I'm not actually becoming a perfectionist, but at least I managed to get the fear out of myself that of not being able to enter the court. We were able to enter the court, and we were able to be part of that group which was already playing there. So it all happened over a little bit of time. Like there was a time, right? It took a little bit of time, but then through motivation from other players, right, we managed to gain that confidence to at least give a try. So occasionally senior players also gave feedbacks. They motivated me further, and so that actually illustrated this episode. Clearly illustrated Bandura's social learning theory, right? Learning through observation, imitation, and social interaction. I believe this is one of a very important factor in students' life when they learn through social interaction. Normally students have that fear always of trying things. When they are trying something new, they always have the fear that we will be laughed at, or there will be some kind of embarrassment. But when there is like motivation from peers, it gives us that encouragement to at least be part of that activity. Now, so the outcome here was successful because observing role models provided both guidance and motivation to improve my skills. Moving on further, so basically that was what my session was on, right? We were discussing the three learning theories and how each of these particular learning episodes depicted those particular learning theories. So let us look at our summary. Each of the three episodes aligns strongly with a different learning theory based on the type of knowledge or skill being learned and the organization of the learning environment. First of all, behavioral theory best explains learning motor behaviors like handwriting in a structured, reward-based environment. Cognitive theory best explains understanding abstract concepts like algebra in an environment designed to promote active mental engagement. And lastly, we have the social learning theory best explains skill acquisitions through modeling such as basketball within a social and interactive context. So this is basically what my session was on, right? So I hope you all